So I bought the cheapest side-by-side on Facebook Marketplace in my area at the time, knowing that it had some issues and finding issues I didn't know it had after purchasing it. And I'm going to show you what those issues are, starting with the small ones and working our way up to the big ones. Some of these are just pet peeves overall. It's not very good, but I think I'm going to make out in the end. Well, let me explain. Let me explain it to you. Let me try to justify this purchase the same way I did to my wife, and maybe you'll understand also. Does that make sense? I hope she's not watching this video because this is going to show a lot that I haven't shown her. So let's start with what it is. What is it? What are we working with? All right, so it's a 2011 Yamaha Rhino 700. It's not good. It's beat up pretty bad. It's definitely abused, but I believe there's enough here that justifies the price of the purchase. So I'm going to start right here. Okay. The engine is out of it currently. I was not planning on making a video about this side-by-side. That's why it's in the small garage up here next to the house. One, this garage is easier to heat. Followed by, it's a lot closer than the big garage is to my house. So this one's attached, the other one's not. So it's just a lot easier in the evenings, just come out here and tinker around with stuff. So here we go. The good. It's got the upgraded power steering, electric power steering rack. That does work. I have verified that. It had a 2-inch lift on it. I have removed that already. These things are already kind of top heavy. I think that's one of the reasons they stopped making the Rhinos, is because they were rollover. They were prone for rollovers. So I went ahead and took the lift off of it. I might put wheel spacers on it later. But so that right there is like $700, just that upgrade. Followed by the brand new tires and wheels that were on this machine whenever I got it. So those were already purchased. That was a huge investment already. I've taken all the plastics off the side of it. I'll show you that why here in a second, but just quick walk around. That tire's down on air, needs aired up. It does hold air for about 2-3 days. There's a hole where it's leaking around a bead. I haven't quite looked into that yet, but as you can see, I have plastics off of this, and I'll show you why. So somebody decided, not once, not twice, hell, not 3 times, but a lot, that they were going to paint this thing numerous times. We've got a yellow in there, we got a little bit of blue, we've got white, we've got brown. There was a gray underneath this. That's kind of like that little light coat there. I think the machine's original paint is gray. There was a gray top coat, like a bed liner material, that was on this. We've got black inside the headlight buckets, whatever you want to call those. They had like a Raptor liner, see there, kind of sprayed on it. I went ahead and stripped that back. The goal is to Raptor line this whole entire thing once I get it all stripped down. But there you go. You can see a little bit more of those layers of paint on the dash panel, yeah, whatever you want to call it. So I went ahead and bought that clean strip aircraft grade paint stripper. It's safe to use on plastics. It didn't eat through the plastic at all. It's pretty simple. A couple applications, pressure wash the paint off of it, and this is what you end up with. These guys, whoever owned this machine before, really like self-tappers, and they were all over the place through all the panels, just riddled with it. So I went ahead and took the self-tappers out, put some of these flat 3/16 rivets in there, all over the place. But you can, they had that one wasn't even uncentered where that self-tapper was. So I went ahead and measured center, drilled a hole, put a rivet, riveted that whole entire grill, the grill piece behind here, reinforced that straight to the hood here. And then these holes, I just used a little bit of a 3M08115. That's the panel bond adhesive, and I just taped with masking tape on the back side, filled all those holes, sanding them off nice and flush. But as you can see, they were everywhere. We got 3 there, got 3 more here, 2 up there. There's another one somewhere right here. There's two right there, two up here in the top, two over here, two over there, a couple on the sides, like that one down here in the bottom I showed you guys already, two over here. So yeah, if you got, it works pretty good. I'm sure any plastic welder, anything like that, that's just what I used. And I mean, they're in there. It's not going out anytime soon. So that was one thing, was the body. And that's why those plastics are off the back. And that's why you see that all kind of dulled out. That's just from sanding on it and stripping that paint off. So let me show you what some of the issues were with the electrical system. I've already fixed about 90% of them, and then we'll go from there into the engine, what occurred there. So the fan wiring. The fan was routed directly to the battery with just on a switch. I'm not sure what the point of that is. The fans do work. They do kick on. I did jump them straight across to the battery once I cut the wire out. The thermostat, there's a thermistor, whatever it is it's called, that kicks the fans on. It tested out bad. So I went ahead and got a new one of those, replaced them, got it for the engine. Brand new sensor right from Yamaha. So I'm pretty sure the circuit tested good the whole way back to the engine. Wiring harness down in there. So I went ahead and just put some of those heat shrink butt connectors, spade terminals, not butt connectors, but those heat shrink, adhesion weather pack, or weather tight. They have an adhesion inside them that glues itself. Did the same thing down here with the headlights. Little trick is always go, if this one is the male plug and this one is the female plug, well then next time make this one the male plug, this one the female plug, so that you don't cross your polarity on accident trying to hook this up. Anybody who unplugs this will be able to see exactly what you did and be able to hook it up. It's a good tip just for keeping in your back pocket next time you're going to wire something. And always make your spade connectors, make it easier for them to unplug, or unless you can get like those weather pack 2-pin connectors, because these do, like you can see the conductor down in there, they will over time absorb moisture, but it should keep it off of the copper wire because they do have a adhesion inside them, like a hot glue almost. So once you shrink it down, that glue adheres to the insulation and then also glues itself to the conductor down in there. So there was some things that were wrong. The fuses, fuse relay, the whole box was a mess whenever I started. This is the wiring for the power steering. I went ahead and just hooked that up. We got a switch panel down in here that was added beforehand, but the light bar on top wasn't working properly. This wasn't fused correctly, so I went ahead and got that wired in, fused. I fixed a lot of the wires that were messed up. They had cut through harnesses all through here. As you can see, they'd taken off an auxiliary down there with a Scotch connector. One of them bites into two wires, turns it into a 2-into-1. I'll probably try to fix that up and do a weather tight butt connector on that, crimp, but it's so close to the connector it's kind of hard to. That's a lot of bad that I'm talking about here, and it's only going to get worse. So I figured I'd show you something good that this machine does have, and that's one of these MSD Charge F5s. Part number is a 4245. You use MSD's View software for programming that, for setting your fueling and timing tables. You can do Fuel Excel that acts as a accelerator pump, sort of like what would be on a carburetor. So that's pretty nice. That's a good upgrade to have right there. They're about $350 to $400. So already between the power steering, this, and the tires is more than what I paid for the machine. So how much is it going to be to fix the rest of the machine? I'm kind of going to give you guys a rundown on the numbers here. Another thing while I'm looking at this is these hood pins are, a Tractor Supply special. I'm not sure what exactly is going on here. Just drive that in there. Oh yeah, we don't need any of the the clips that hold this in there. None of those. So that'll be fine. It's not loose at all. I'm probably gonna get some bolts for that. That's pretty bad. I noticed it, but I didn't notice it at the same time. The bed's held on the same way, but we'll start here at the front, work our way to the back, because this is where all the good stuff is. one more thing I want to touch on about this power steering upgrade. It's an electric power steering motor. It's an assist essentially. So when it senses an input from your steering wheel on this side, it then powers the motor to help to assist you on your output side. So it has its own control box, and this is all the brackets that come with those kits. You can look them up. Just look up a Yamaha Rhino electric power steering upgrade. There's a video, I want to believe it's from Revzilla, don't quote me on that. They have a whole entire installation video on this. So that's what this extra box here is. This would be your voltage regulator, rectifier, whatever you want to call that. That's where that is. And then your factory CDI, ECU, ECM, whatever you want to call that, is located down inside your fuse box. So this is just a piggybacked harness. As you can see, the original plugs that go into your CDI, ECU go, I guess it would be an ECU because it's not just controlling spark, it's also controlling fuel since this is fuel injected. So your engine control module, this passes through the MSD before it goes into the ECU. So it's just a piggybacked module there where you can adjust your fueling and timing and the fuel excel and MSD view. And we'll take a look at that later, but oh, here we go. This is one of the ones I wanted to show you guys. I left this. So the pin, you see down in there, is gone for that one, for the one facing up towards the top here, or closest to me, I guess. So in order to get connection, we just spliced a little wire on here, and I guarantee that's twisted together. There's no solder, no nothing like that behind that. And then it's just wrapped around the pin on the relay there. So that was a lot of the problem. See, this ground here got overheated. I got to replace that one. Somebody somewhere hooked something up wrong, and it melted the insulation back on that. But everything seems to be working electronically correct now, at least after I've repaired so many wires, and there's still a lot to be done. But right now, as it speaks, everything's still functioning everything's functioning the way it should. However, I have not verified the ECU is actually outputting and reading the sensors. I can test through them like I did, but I'm not sure anything is actually working because there's not an engine here. So let's talk about that. So I'm going to start this by saying I'm not an engine builder. I've never disassembled one of these engines before. This would be an XFY 700F, I believe, is the model number on this engine. It was used in the Grizzly 700s and the Rhino 700s and maybe a couple other models, but that's mostly common ones that you'll see. So what happened to this one? Well, as you can see, let's start on this side of the case. We've got a chunk missing out of what would be, essentially your windage. I use quotations on that. Windage tray. This goes around. Your crank would sit here, right? It's over here on this side. It's complete. It's missing here. So something broke that, but also in the process of breaking that, if you look on the side of this bearing, this bearing's in here sideways. I have not done anything with that bearing. That's how it was when I took it apart. And it'll rock, which shouldn't. But there's also a hairline crack coming off the side. And that's more prominent if you match the other bearing. You can see that crack goes the whole way down. So the cases are junk. But what caused it? Well, that bearing houses this counterbalance shaft. It goes in something like that. But that counterbalance shaft is not supposed to look like that. So there's a strong impact right here on the counterbalance shaft. You can see it. It's about an inch long, something like that, where something has impacted, and the only thing that can hit that is this crank. So something got out of time. And once we start looking here, it's pretty obvious what happened. Flip this case over real quick. the keyway got sheared. So what's on that keyway is the stator slash timing gear. So that would go on there like such, and then that would keep your crank in time with your counterbalance shaft, and then there's a chain that comes off of that down to your oil pump drive. Oh yeah, there's a chain that goes up to your overhead valves at that point. Well, this spun on the crank. That keyway sheared, probably was in poor shape. You can see it had been beaten for a while, and then finally it just broke. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it's like 2/3 of the key is smooth, and then that last little section there is just sheared off. So someone missed that somewhere along the lines, and the rest is history. I mean, it cracked the cases. They're junk. You can see it's all blown out on that bearing on the backside where it rocked sideways after the counterbalance shaft got bent. Came up here, busted this bearing through the back of the case, left that long crack. You can see it on this side, follows the whole way up. So I'm not a welder. I'm not a machinist. I'm not going to weld this case. This is cast aluminum. I'm not very good at TIG welding aluminum in the first place. So this is just something that's far outside of my realm of capabilities. So it left me with only one option, and that was to get a set of cases. So since we started off this build by gambling on the machine and condition of the machine, I figured why not continue that trend. So I went ahead and bought a set of used cases off of eBay, and they're really clean. This side, I've already started assembling some of the transmission drive components. This side still needs cleaned up. As you can see, there's still dirt, debris down in there. So I use a little bit of super clean, spray it down, hit it with the pressure washer, pull these bearings out with a slide hammer, install the new bearings. I bought these cases, both halves, off of eBay for $400. So not a bad deal, and it was a gamble that was worth paying off. One thing that's different between these and the Grizzlies, I'm going to see if I can show you real quick. There's a lot of differences, but internal wise, you can see there's a bore down here. See if I can point to it, like right there. So it would be a shaft, and then there's a lever that goes on there, and then inside here would be a spring and like a detent that pushes against that. So it's spring loaded all the time. I'm not sure if it's a park paw or what it's used for, but I think that might be exactly what it is. It's like a little lever that comes down and bites into that. If you guys see that when taking this yours apart, chances are that's a Grizzly engine, but that's the only difference internally that I've seen between the Rhinos and the Grizzlies. There's a lot to do different whenever it comes to the drives and the intake setup, but overall, everything on the inside of these is almost exactly the same, minus, like I pointed out, that lever that comes down into the teeth on that gear. Like I said, the only thing I think of is it's a park paw. Comment if you do know exactly what it is, or I could see if I can find the part number for it and maybe put it down in the description what I'm talking about there. But you'll know it when you see it. So I won on these cases. I made out like a bandit. I already started cleaning up some of these flanges whenever I had that. Whenever I started cleaning prior to assembly here. This side I haven't yet done, but you can see they weren't pried apart. There's no marks on these cases anywhere. Definitely was a real good purchase. I'm pleased with. So the crank on that other engine's trashed. The counterbalance shaft is trashed. The cylinder, it doesn't look bad. The piston doesn't look bad, but they're not OEM parts. So why not just put a stroker big bore kit in this thing and call it a day? So I'm back in the area of the engine bay. As you guys can notice, those rivets on the floor are the same ones that were up on that hood that I had installed. And the reason's simple. If I'm going to go through this far pulling the engine and everything, I went ahead and drilled the original rivets out of the floor, pulled the floorboards up, and then treated it all and painted it with a chassis paint. So after cleaning that all up with roll-lock wheel and wire brush, phosphoric acid, sand it down again, hit it with some self-etching primer, followed by some chassis paint. Came up pretty good. Did the pedals also while I was here, because why not? Let's go all out while we're waiting on parts. A little stuff to keep you busy in the evenings. It's middle of winter. You gotta find something to do. Gotta stay motivated. Gotta keep moving. That's cheap. That's easy. You know, makes it look a lot better. The reason why I pulled the floor up also was this bar was all. Let me clean that off real quick. Fresh paint. The bar was all rusted up right down through this area just from getting in and out. You know, your foot drags on that. It gets rubbed up against stuff as you're driving the machine. So real nice durable covering now. And then, like I said, we're going to raptor line the whole entire machine. So those bars up to this point is going to get covered. So that'll look really, really, really sharp when it's done. The reason the wheels are off, simple. Wheel bearings needed replaced on it. Brakes aren't bad. They're in good condition. Both that one there needed taken replaced, and the rear. The other sides, they came out pretty good. I got one tire there I showed you earlier, the right rear. It's going to need probably patched or something, but here's another view of that power steering. I got a little bit of rust back there I missed, but yeah. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. Hope my wife is too. So this is one thing that I really, really, really feel the need. I need to talk about. This is that shifter. Sits in the center there, goes between, there's a crossbar that goes here to here, and then there's another bar that comes up on that other side, and that's where that shifter goes in between. You know, it just bolts in here and here. Well, this was loose. That bracket's not quite on there at a 90. It's kind of tipped forward, so the shifter doesn't fit in the center console properly. Tore this, had to tear it apart anyhow to get the engine out, and got to looking at it. Okay, so what are we working with here? Well, someone at one time decided that needed welded. Not sure how well you can see that, but they welded it for sure. And it's nowhere close to being aligned, right? So this flange here should be down with here. So we just throw a whole bunch of bubblegum weld on that, and when the weld fails, we decide to put a big washer here. But the big washer's, you know, too big for this self-tapper to hold it in place. So we're going to stack another washer on there. But then the hole's too big for that one, so we put another smaller washer there. But that washer's still too big, so we got to put another washer on there. I ain't never seen nothing like that before. I mean, I guess if it works, it works, but it didn't work. So this whole contraption, I mean, I've taken pictures of this. This is hilarious. I'm going to end up probably cutting this, taking these self-tappers out, cutting that weld the whole way down, and then pray to God that my welds look a little bit better than that and holds for some significant amount of time, I'd hope. But yeah, I saw that whenever I was disassembling this, and I was like, man, that's hilarious. I kind of shows you the quality of the wiring that I was dealing with, and all the other problems that this machine had. But like I said, and what I'll justify again, it keeps you busy. So what would the total cost on this machine be? Here's my estimated values, what I have in it currently, and how much I'll end up after. So remember, we're doing a big bore, we're doing a stroker, we're doing the obviously an upgraded sheave, weights, primary. So all of that combined is a little over $2,000. All right, and that doesn't account for the $400 cases we have, and then the purchase of the machine. So overall, under $5,000 for this side-by-side. It'll be fully painted, fully covered, and it's going to be upgraded to a point where I feel happy with it. So I feel, and it's something I built. I know what I have in here. There's not a floorboard I haven't taken out. I know what's underneath it. There's not a wheel bearing I haven't examined, brakes I haven't examined, the coolant hoses, the wiring harness, everything that I've done so far, I know what I'm ending up with. So to me, it is well worth it rather than going and buying an $8,000 used machine and running into these same problems and being in the hole. So why did I do it? Well, I live on a property that has about 5 acres on it, and whenever it comes to taking care of farm animals and gardening and just chores around the house. So if the wife and I want to take a trail ride somewhere, here it is. Here's the machine that'll take us on that journey. Hopefully be super reliable, be something that I've always dreamt of owning, was a side-by-side. This was my opportunity of doing so. So if you want something, you got to work for it. I'm able to build the machine I want, hopefully make it somewhat competitive with current models. And I have no doubt that with a big bore kit and a stroker kit that I'm going to be more than pleased with the power that this thing puts down. So I hope that kind of gives you a breakdown of what I'm doing here, what I'm working with. Maybe I justified myself, maybe I didn't. Maybe $5,000 for a 2011 Yamaha Rhino that's unrealistic, right? Some people can't justify spending that. My justification to it is $5,000. I'm going to end up with a machine that's about 800cc. It'll be 780 whenever I'm done with the big bore kit and the stroker kit. Wiseco piston. I'm going above and beyond on this build because I can't obtain let's just say a Razor 800, RZR 800. I can't obtain that for $5,000 in my area. Side-by-sides are ridiculous on price. So maybe you guys can get those machines for that price down in your area, up in your area, wherever you're at. Here, this was the best I could find on the market at the time. It has a dump bed. It's going to serve my purposes. That's what it needed. It needed to have a dump bed. It needed to be something I could utilize for work, but also for play, for recreation. So guys, with that being said, hope you all have a great 2026. The new year's upon us. 2025, for me, it was not a good year. Had to take a personal step back. Had some loss. It just wasn't a good year. So this year, looking forward, we're starting on a positive note. We're starting with a pretty big build. We're starting with something that's exciting to me. Hope it's exciting to you guys. I hope you guys can interact on this. Maybe you guys have seen these machines and you're like, man, I just don't know anything about them. Well, ask those questions. Ask me to highlight that stuff whenever I do a next video. I do read the comments. Sometimes it does take me a while to respond. But I am excited about this. I hope you guys are excited about it too, because together I'm sure we can pass a lot of information around about these Yamaha Rhinos. Hope you guys stay safe. Hope you guys are healthy. Wish you guys the best in 2026, and God bless you.